Welcome to Bleachers and Speakers. Foster, it's full time, baby.
This is the week. This is a big week right here.
Hey, it's Monday. The game is Thursday. We on primetime TV, Kansas City versus the Detroit Lions. And I'm ready for this game, man. I'm ready for NFL football. Now, no more of this preseason stuff.
Right.
Let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. You can introduce yourself, though. I got kind of carried away. We got about 3 more days. So,
Hey, you
I
got it. You got it, man. You foster child, man. We back. We still employed. So y'all got to deal with us, I guess.
Yeah, this is episode 6, man. This is the 6th. And if you haven't subscribed to Motor City Metrics, go ahead and do so. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to let you know when we're coming on, this, that, and other. You'll get an alert. And just check us out. Like, share, comment. You know what I'm saying? We look forward to feedback. So you can hit us off with some feedback, man. We can make the show better with your help. You know what I'm saying? We're here for the listeners. So me and Foster are in the bleachers, and we're bringing our points of view to the speakers. And you can help us bring a better product if you just give us a little insight on what you want to hear, man. We're reasonable guys, man. So
I've been seeing some participation in the comments lately, and we definitely appreciate all feedback and any type of interjections you have to what we talking about, because this is gonna be an active year, and it's gonna get interesting, especially once these real live games start happening. So we want everybody to be as involved as us.
And if you don't have time, if you're busy on Monday nights, because we're here every Monday at 7:00, if you're busy, don't worry. This episode will drop on an audio. You can always go to YouTube and play it back. You don't have to watch it live. Once we're done recording, you can go to Motor City Metrics. You can watch it all over again. However, the next morning, if you're not into a visual podcast and you want to just strictly listen to it while you're doing whatever you got to do, driving to work, working out, you know what I'm saying, cleaning the house, you can check us out on iHeartRadio. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those platforms there. So this very same show will be there, so you don't have to miss anything. Check us out, download if you can, and just listen. Check us out, man. We got some stuff that we're gonna talk about today. Though we're gonna preview the Lions versus Kansas City. Boss, you nervous?
I mean, right now, I'm confident. I'm excited. When that kickoff, when that first kickoff, especially when we kick it off to them, I'm definitely gonna get some butterflies.
So, okay. So does this mean you're anticipating for us to kick off to them first, or is this just you'll be okay when they're kicking off to us?
I just, it's the worst that can happen for us, outside of a turnover, is we will score. But when they get the ball on offense, that especially their offense, that's where things can get real interesting. I'm pretty confident when we got the ball, but yeah.
But one thing I noticed about Kansas City, right, is that not every game are there lights out offensively from beginning to end. Sometimes they'll have a fast start,
yeah,
and they kind of cruise into the ending, and then sometimes they have a slow start, but then they have that one quarter. It's like it's don't touchdown, and then it just carries on the rest of the game. So I feel good about the Detroit Lions defense. However, it is the Kansas City Chiefs we're talking. Mahomes is still a quarterback. He's going to have some weapons. Andy Reid is an offensive-minded coach. That offense. Luckily, though, for those that are getting upset or saying, hey, why we got to play them first, it's good to play them first while they still have rust. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, it's better to play them now than while they're in mid-season form. Not making any excuses or anything like that, but
While they got
Can't
players
cry.
holding out too.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna sit up here and say, "Hey, man, why we got to play them first?" I mean, this is what we wanted, right? We wanted the Detroit Lions to be competitive, not hold any punches, and we want to see them play good and win versus the best teams. And
Yeah,
that's
I
something that's
mean,
been lacking for a long time.
can't complain. We here now, so shit. You know.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, what are you going to do? Where are you watching the game at, Foster?
I'll be at the crib at somebody crib, and I don't really do the I don't really go to the bar for games too much, so I'll be at the spot for sure.
I got to be at home, bro. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't want be at anybody else's house. I don't. I'm not the bar type. You know what I'm saying? Those chairs at bar, man. You can't relax there. You got to sit up the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I want to be on my couch, bro.
Spending
You know
money.
what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, just the own cover. Like, I would go to a playoff game in a minute. I'll go to a Monday Night Football game in a minute. That's not an issue. But opening game, I want to be able to sit there and dissect, watch the replays, listen to the commentary, throw my remote if I have to, all of that. And the beautiful thing about Thursday, it's the only game that's going on. So there's night. You're not going to
Yeah.
be going from channel to channel. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to miss a play. You're going to watch those commercials, or you're going to sit there and wait patiently and watch that whole game, man. So I wanted to talk about the expectation because for me, it's been set. I have a big problem with moral victories, right? I don't want to hear, well, we played good and be satisfied. It's okay to say we play good, but to be satisfied with that is insane after
Yeah.
years of what's been going on. So let me ask you, what's your take on that, Foster? As far as this do you believe in moral victories?
I mean, I do want to see. I still haven't seen a lot of the starters. We haven't seen Goff. We haven't seen Montgomery. We haven't seen um, CJ Gardner. I mean, there's a lot of people that we haven't seen play this year. So I do want to see where we're at. I mean, I'm not going to throw the season away if for whatever reason we don't win. But I mean, if we leave Kansas City 0-1, I mean,
It's not the
I'm
end of the
not.
world.
I'm not. It's not the end of the world, but I'm not going to be. I'm not going. I'm not going to be happy. At the end of the day, wins on the board are what propels us to what our expectations are of making the playoffs. Because if we have a whole bunch of games where we look really good and lose, we're not going to make the playoffs, and none of that will, and none of how good we look will matter. So, I mean, Kansas City is one of the toughest stadiums. I think it's the toughest stadium. I mean, growing up, even when Kansas City wasn't good, it was known that Kansas City was a tough place to play at. So, with all the hype after the Super Bowl and it being the first game of the year, I mean, it's gonna be electric and it's gonna be a tough environment. But I mean, that us being able to win the game is gonna be such a huge impact. That's gonna be a major just the momentum going into the rest of the season will be
Yeah,
huge if we can go into Kansas City and snatch a victory.
for sure. For sure. I want to see him play well. I want to see him win. Playing well is very important. Like, if you play horribly, that's definitely a no-go. Um, uh, if you play competitively and lose, that's still a no-go. But at the same time, it's Kansas City, and I understand. I want to see them play tough. I need to see them play better. I need them to look like they belong. Now, I'm not settling for a moral victory. I'm talking about the overall play. I'm not going to accept a loss. I'm not going to be happy that they had a close near win. But the most important thing is to see a well coached football team that plays good both sides of the ball. Now, if you go out there and you play lights out and just happen to lose, I'm not hell bent over it, but I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So we missed the playoffs by one game last year, just one.
Yeah.
So every game counts. Every single game counts. And it starts Thursday night. You got to be ready to line it up and show that you belong. I expect, well, nah, I said I was going to have your prediction. I'm not going to give my prediction. Boss, you on the spot, man. Give me a score, bro.
A score? Wow.
Okay. Look at it like this, right?
You put me on the spot.
Okay. Check this out. Will the Lions win Thursday?
I'm gonna let you, I don't know if we want to get into if we really want to get into the whys about it, but
No. Don't
just okay.
we'll talk about that later.
In my brain, I got 30-24 Lions, but 30-24 is the number that just came to me. I don't know. 30-24.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. 30-24. I think for some odd reason this is going to be a lower scoring
Really?
game. Hey, I've been so wrong so many times. Yes, and it's so probably a good reason why I think that because I've been wrong so many times. Yeah, I just think it's going to be like 21-10, some stuff like that, man.
You
And
mean
the
a
only reason I say
touchdown
it is
and a field goal from either team? Woo.
I just think, man, it takes a minute for that offense to click. Like,
Whose offense? Have you decided who's going to win?
just offense. You're not putting me on the spot. I'm
Oh,
putting
so
you
you
on the
oh,
spot, boss.
right.
I'm not
That's
giving a prediction. I told you last week. It's on you.
damn, that's crazy.
Now, if the Lions win, I'm going to say I told you so.
Right.
But I'm not saying nothing now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave it at that. But we're gonna start something a little early today. We usually review the game before, and there was no preseason game last week. And it's kind of throwing us off. We usually have a game to review, but we're going to jump into the player of the game. I mean, featured player of the week. And Foster, I'll turn it over to you, and I'll get out the way and let you do your thing with that.
All right. So the featured player of the week is David Montgomery this week. He is our number one running back. He played for the Bears last year. He was a acquisition over the offseason. And if I could put the word, if I could give him some words to describe him, I would say reliability, durability, and consistency. This is a guy whose numbers haven't really jumped off the page to me in the last couple of years. But to me, a lot of that is due to the fact that he's played on some pretty mediocre Chicago Bear teams. They won 3 games last year. So, I mean, that should let you know that, the opportunities for him to score have been limited. His best year being in 2020, where he had, I think he had 8 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing. He's a very good receiver, very sure-handed receiver out of the backfield. That in that 2020 year, he had 68 targets and 54 catches. As far as what his role will be this year, he is the replacement for Jamal Williams. Let's just call it how it is. He's a big bruising running back. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. He's going to get way more opportunities this year in the goal line to punch it in the end zone. And the Lions running backs had the most fantasy points in the entire NFL. So there are going to be plenty of opportunities for Montgomery, who has carried has shouldered a very large load in Chicago. He had
Mhm.
200 carries in every year that he's played there, and he's never finished under 20th in touches as long as he's been in the league. So very very durable. He played 16 games last year, and I'm big on that. Like I said, availability is the best ability sometimes, and he's never played less than 13 games since he's been in the league. He's been in the league since 2019, I believe. So
Mhm.
very durable, very dependable. And another important thing is he doesn't fumble the ball very much. The last 2 years and I've seen varying stats as far as fumbles, just because I don't know. You go to different sites, you get different information, but from what I've seen, the last 2 years, he's only fumbled the ball, and those were, balls that he wasn't able to recover back. The team wasn't able to recover back, but
Mhm.
twice in the last 2 years. Well, twice in 2022 and twice in 2021. But overall, he takes care of the rock, which is very important. Uh, Outside of that, he's a solid pass blocker. He has good vision, and he's not the speedster. He's the thunder to our lightning. Obviously, being Jameer Gibbs as far as the speedy
Mhm.
aspect of things. But overall, he's gonna get a lot of opportunities. He's gonna hopefully get the same amount of opportunities that Jamal Williams did. We all know that Jamal Williams didn't have a lot of yards per carry. A lot of the carries he was getting was in short yardage situations, goal line, punching the ball, punching the ball in the end zone. So
Mhm.
I feel like David Montgomery is going to fill that role. It is hard to say whether he's going to be able to fill his shoes completely and get 17 touchdowns and match what Jamal Williams did, but I think he's very capable of filling the void and doing what he needs to do. He's younger than Jamal Williams, and he's much better catching passes out of the backfield. So that will definitely bode in his favor. We know that a running back shelf life is very short, and it's tough to say whether Jamal Williams would have been able to keep up the pace that he was on, being that he was not an every down back in Detroit, and he didn't really have the number one role until he got to until last year, to be honest.
Mhm.
Even in Green Bay, he was the short yardage goal line type guy. So I think that it's going to be interesting because David Montgomery has not taken a single snap in a real live game for the Detroit Lions. So this will be our first look at David Montgomery in the first week against the Chiefs. But I think that he will be very. He's going to be the amount of touches he gets and what he's able to do is going to be very pivotal in a game where we don't want to get in a shootout with the Chiefs. We want to be able to control the ball, but I don't want to get too much into that because that's kind of part of my keys for the game. Go ahead.
So I think it's very important when it comes to David Montgomery is his durability because he's not a scat back. He's a he runs primarily in between the tackles. He's your ground and pound, pause if applicable, type of back. Hey yo, and we want to and for him to be reliable due to not being injured is pretty dope coming from him. I say he's not a scat back. He doesn't avoid contact. He's a north and south runner. So
That's a big boy. I mean, you can tell by how his build that he come right at you.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And he has
But
very similar build to Jamal Williams as well. I looked at the numbers as far as the height and weight, and
mhm,
they both said 224 pounds, and then they said that Williams was 6 foot and Montgomery was 5'11. So nearly the same physical build between the two of those guys.
yeah. So that was our featured player of the week. And when we get back on the other side, we'll talk about the keys to the game. We got Kansas City versus Detroit Lions Thursday night.
I
I
was
forgot.
waiting for that. I was
I
waiting
forgot
for
to give him a Lions roar, man. Got to. I mean, give it up for Montgomery, man. He should have had a Lions roar, man. It hit different, man. When I don't do that on time, it hit different. Do your homework on David Montgomery, bro.
it. Yeah.
So, Foss, we gonna break this game down. We gonna break this how we see uh Detroit faring this Thursday. So, I guess I'll present it to you, and you give me your thoughts, and then I'll add mine. Okay. So,
Okay.
the Detroit Lions. Well, let me start it off this way. The Kansas City Chiefs offense versus the Detroit Lions defense. Who wins that battle overall that night?
I mean, I feel like you got to give the edge to the Chiefs. I mean, they're the number one overall offense. Definitely pass heavy, definitely pass happy. But I mean, they didn't win the Super Bowl because they had such a dominant defense. It had a lot to do with their offense and just the way they were able to control the pace of the game and pretty much do whatever they want to do. The Lions didn't fare. The Lions improved throughout the year, but overall, we didn't rank out very well defensively. We have a very revamped secondary, which I am excited to see what it's going to look like. But obviously, until all that plays out on the field and between those lines, you gotta edge the Chiefs in this.
I think it boils down to the unknown, right? We
Mm-hmm.
do not know how the Detroit Lions secondary is going to hold up, right? We do know we have overhauled the position. We do know we look better on paper. We do know that was a weakness last year, but I think up front, the front seven, I don't have any concerns with whatsoever. I think we get it done up front. It's just the play of the defensive backfield will be key. And with all saying that, without knowing, I have to give the edge for the Kansas offense because they're not going to run the ball a ton of time. They're going to run just enough to keep the defense honest.
Yeah.
But Mahomes is going to sling the ball. He's going to throw the ball. He's going to throw the ball, and we don't know exactly how this defensive backfield would play together as a unit. So if I'm a betting man, I'm going to edge the offense, the Kansas City offense versus the Detroit Lions defense. I'm going to edge Kansas City. They can have that.
Yeah.
Okay, now what about the Detroit Lions offense versus the Kansas City defense? How you look at that?
I can confidently say that I have the Lions offense over the Kansas City defense. As I stated earlier, the defense, I will say the defense does enough to hold up their end of the bargain, Kansas City wise, but there's definitely some glaring weaknesses in their defense. And it's not going to help that Chris Jones is still holding out. They went and got a defensive end from the 49ers. His name is, I had it written down. Oh, Charles Omeni. This is
Okay.
a edge rusher out of the 49ers. He's suspended for the first 6 games because of personal conduct. I didn't really read into it too much, but that's another person on the defensive line. Mind you, they already ranked last year 20th in rush defense. So no, 24th is their rush defense. So that's a glaring weakness for them. And I feel like despite the fact that we haven't really seen the running game as far as the top-notch, offensive lineman and our number one running back, I feel like that is something that we can definitely exploit them. And If we can control the ball and keep our offense on the field and Mahomes on the sideline, that's going to be huge. And it's also going to play a factor into just neutralizing that crowd. The crowd is going to be looking for the big turnover and the big pass from Mahomes to get excited and into the game. If we can control the ball with our running ability, because we still play that old school NFC North, NFC Central smash mouth football, and I feel like that is going to that can neutralize what the Chiefs want to do, which is put the ball in the air.
We need the offense to control the time of possession. We're
Yeah.
not a quick hit offense. Uh, we've seen it with Jamison on that one play.
Right.
But usually the Lions earn their touchdowns. It's like there's no 70 or 60-yard touch. It's usually a drive. And we need to sustain drives. We need to keep the chains moving, and we need to score touchdowns. If we can keep Mahomes off the field as much as possible, that bodes well for us. I think this is where we have a chance to win versus the versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense. I don't have any intimidating fear about what Kansas City brings defensively. I'm not saying they're horrible, but the Lions didn't have a problem moving the ball majority of the year last year. They had a couple of games and
They
maybe a
couldn't
few
stop
drives.
nobody.
Yeah, they had a couple games where they didn't look so well at, i.e. the Carolina game, but for the most part, teams like versus Seattle versus Philly, the Lions were moving the ball at will, you know. Uh, so I think this is one of the battles that Detroit wins versus the Detroit offense. I have to favor the Detroit offense over the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And I think the offense can do a lot to help the defense by keeping Mahomes off the field, sustain some drives, wear that defense out. They have problems. They're kind of short manpower wise on the defensive line because they're missing Chris Jones. They're missing their acquisition from San Francisco won't play the first game. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how that defensive line of theirs hold up. But I'm taking the Detroit Lions offense over the Kansas City Chiefs defense any day.
Yeah.
Do you know much about special teams for the Kansas City? I know what we bring. I know what Detroit Lions bring. But Foster, do you know anything about what
So
Kansas
so I
City
looked
Chiefs?
Yeah, I looked into their kicking team. I think that I want to say that the kicker is having had a down year last year. Um, I was looking at the rankings, and the Lions ranked 10th, and the Chiefs were like in the 16th range. They also have Kadarius Torrey, who played.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wild looking dude. I can't off the top of my head, I can't remember what team he played for. The Giants. He played for the Giants last year. But I,
Okay.
I want to say that he's going to be their kick returner, and he's a solid kick
Mm-hmm.
returner. But
Yes.
this is his first year here. First year on the Chiefs. So it's hard to tell. And I think Sky Moore did some punt returns last year, and I'm kind of familiar with him. He went to Western Michigan, but I
Of
think that we
course, you keep up with him.
yeah, come on. That's gotta do that. But I feel like that we do have the edge in that category. Khalif Raymond had a seat as a had a his best year yet, kick return and punt return wise, and got him paid, got his contract extended. So I think that he does well. It's gonna come, but I think more what I'm worried about is our kicking game. And I don't know. There was just some. I don't know if people was bored, but that was a controversy for a little bit. Is whether or not
There,
our kicker was going to be able to hold up to his end of the bargain. But I think that we edge in that category as well, especially with Khalif Raymond. Uh, I mean, even I feel like, and I not that preseason means anything, but I don't know. I feel like that. I just feel like that jumped out at me as a glaring strength on our team is kick return, as far as receiving um, and defending.
Gotcha. As far as I like our punt return, kickoff return specialist. I favor them over the Chiefs. I'm not familiar with their coverage teams though, so
Yeah, I don't.
I don't
Yeah, I
want to.
don't know.
Their coverage teams is. I don't care who you got back there. They have a great coverage team. You're not returning anything, so don't matter who you got back there. If they have great coverage, I'm not familiar with their coverage teams. I know we had a fiasco at field goal kicker last year. I think we wound up cutting the
Early.
one that we early and we brought him back.
Yeah.
So uh that's one of those things where I don't know anything about the special teams, man. I don't know. That's the remain. I won't say who has the edge there. So I'm gonna go with the Lions anyway. So
Right. Can't
hey
lose
man,
there,
they
right?
said baseball tie goes to the runner, man. So
Right.
I'm picking the Lions, man. So uh with that being said, we both agreed on Kansas City offense over the Detroit Lions defense, but the Detroit Lions offense over the Kansas City defense. And we picked Detroit Lions to be favored in special teams. Now we would look
Yeah.
really, really crazy if we thought pick Kansas City to win the game. But it's not about what I think.
It's not
This
crazy.
is
It's
all
not
Foster.
crazy.
This is all on Foster. Foster,
What's
you
up?
have to give a prediction. You have to say why, and you have to be the scapegoat for the show in case it doesn't go like you say it is. No pressure
So,
though.
okay. So the one thing that I haven't seen. Okay, so the Chiefs do a good job of spreading the ball around to a multitude of receivers. Because me personally, a lot of their offensive, as far as the individual players, they didn't really jump out to me. Obviously, they have Travis Kelsey, who's is probably the best tight end in the entire league. So that is a major weapon
Mhm.
for Patrick Mahomes, and I'll be
Get him,
really
Brian.
interested. And I'll
Get
be
him,
really,
Brant.
yeah. So I'll be really interested to see how Branch and and CJ Gardner Johnson match up against him, because I really feel like that is being able to neutralize him in any type of way is going to be very imperative to us stopping them. But what people haven't
Mhm.
really talked about is the fact that the Chiefs did lose Juju Smith Schuster, as well as Hardeman.
Mhm.
And I feel like those were pretty those were pretty important guys last year. I mean, I do feel like the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They have a great offensive scheme. They have the best quarterback in the world. So I do feel like regardless of who steps in, he's going to be able to get the ball to him. They do still have Kelsey. They still have some good running backs out of the backfield. They got Pacheco and
Mhm.
Sky Moore is obviously gonna have to step in this year and play a bigger role with those guys missing. But I don't know. I nothing really. The numbers didn't really jump out at me outside of Kelsey. But like I said, they spread it around. So you're not going to have just one guy with just super glaring numbers. They distribute the ball around very well, and then you got to be aware of Mahomes, who can take off and run as well. So that's going to be interesting to see how we match up against this team, because offensively, outside of the quarterback, I don't feel like they have just so many weapons. So I think
Mm.
that's going to be important. I think that's going to aid the Lions, um, who I feel like have the definitive edge as far as their offense over Kansas City's defense.
But you know what? Just imagine if Kansas City had Tyreek Hill and the other two, Juju and and the other wide receiver you mentioned, going into this game. it'd be very, very scary.
Yeah,
Like,
but
you know
of course, you can't pay all those guys. So, essentially, you can't. You gotta. They just paid Mahomes a boatload of money, so it rarely
oh,
works
pay him
out
what
where
he
you get.
wants.
You said what?
You're gonna lose something. You gotta pay him what he wants, but
Yeah,
you're gonna lose something.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna get interesting for us in a couple years when we got to pay St. Brown. We got to pay
Mm,
Sewell. We're gonna have to decide whether we're gonna
J-Mo.
pay Gall. Well, yeah, James. Well, that's down the line. JMO. I got something, a
It's
joke to
3
say about
years
that.
though, right? It's about 3
It,
years, right?
he's gonna have to get on that field and prove it though. Like he has not
Yeah.
played. He's not gonna be able to play until the midway point of his second year. So I ain't worried about paying
St.
JMO.
Brown has St. Brown has earned that argument, so I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
St. Brown already. Sewell has, and then we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with golf as well. So, yeah. So and then
I
Hutch,
mean, he puts up
Hutch too.
if
Hutch is going
if
to garner a check soon,
yeah, if he puts up 4,000 yards this year, you got to pay that man.
especially if you're talking about playoffs and playoff wins and
You
like
you're not going to draft a quarterback just yet, and you're not gonna throw Hooker into there if Goff passes for 4,000 yards this year.
yeah.
He's gonna be your go-to man next year. And I don't know where
Definitely.
he is on his contract, but if he demands an extension,
I think this is. I think it's coming up. It's coming up because he's already played for us
so
for 2 years, I believe. This will be
yeah,
his third year.
that first year was, and then last year he had a phenomenal year.
Balled
His
out.
numbers were very I think he had, uh, a little less passing yards than Cousins, but he had less interceptions. He had more touchdown passes, and his numbers were up there, like, he passed for 4,000 over 4,000 yards. So if he does that again, you can't play with his name. You got to he's gonna he can demand something and pretty much get it, if not
Somewhere.
hear from someone else.
Exactly.
If not
Exactly.
here, so do you wanna like, depending on how the season goes, do you wanna say, "Okay, we're not paying you all this money," and start all over again? If the season is successful, I think the season is gonna be successful if he passes for 4,000 yards or anywhere near if he passes for 3,000 yards. Long as he doesn't have a boatload of interceptions, they're gonna what I'm saying, he's gonna demand some kind of security.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
football life is, what I'm saying,
Sure.
it's not one of those, it's not a 20-year plan no more. 15-year only there's certain few that last more than 10 years.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is an exception to the rule, but you know what I'm saying? But he got paid when it was time to get paid.
Yeah.
So that's just the quarterback position. You're going to pay for a quarterback, a good one. And if you put them numbers up, them agents get to talking. Hey, this quarterback made this much
Yeah. You
and
start
only
comparing. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? The market value, and then you start talking market value, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's just a crazy way, man. So anyway, got away from that a little bit. Now you've given your breakdown. What and you said the score would be
30-24, Detroit Lions.
mm, so I got two questions for you.
What's up?
What happens if the Detroit Lions lose this game?
Then they lose this game.
16 more to go, right?
Yeah, 16, which is yeah, that's a full season from what we're used to. 16 games is the regular. So yeah, full season.
I don't but see, my problem is we don't wanna get happy. We don't wanna idolize moral victories. We don't wanna sound like that. But at the same time, let's be realistic here. We wanna see them play well. You know what I'm saying? We wanna see them win. We don't make excuses for them losing, but They cannot go Thursday night and lay an egg. Totally that would make me question everything that's going on right now.
You would question you would question life after that one, huh?
I would question coaching. I would requesting the acquisitions. I would, and I don't want to be in that state because right now I am pro Campbell. I like the assistants that we have. I like the personnel that we have, and I don't want that to change. And I hope that they play together Thursday, and you know what I'm saying, and they look good out there.
So check this out. So the Chiefs game in Kansas City, I mean,
Mm,
they're going to be
it's
pretty
tough.
heavily favored,
It's
pretty
tough.
heavy favorites. But it's far from the end of the world. First of all, I was breaking down the schedule. I was in the barbershop when he was chopping it up about the schedule. It is
Okay.
all it is. I won't say that the
It's tough.
schedule is sweet from here on out, but that is by far our toughest game.
Yeah.
And between the Chiefs game and the Seahawks game, which will be our first home game, and we'll have 10 days to load up and prepare for that game. That's gonna be the
Who
one. If we
who's the next
lose
game?
the Seahawks.
I got I on my schedule, I got that game circled because of what happened last year.
Yeah.
And I expect them I expect Seattle to be better than they were last year.
I don't really
They
follow
had a
them too tough, so I can't. I mean,
they had a great
Gino
draft.
had a good year. Yeah. Oh, so who'd they get? They got did they get the corner from
They got the corner from Illinois.
right, right,
They
and then
had
they
they
got
had a
somebody
they
else.
had a pretty solid draft.
Yeah,
Uh,
I do recall that.
they had a pretty solid draft, and they had a pretty solid team, but I thought the quarterback play from them was phenomenal, and I don't think it'll happen again.
Yeah,
I mean, I expect them to have a good team, but that was the guy that got drafted for I think he was a Jet first,
you
and
talking about Gino? Yeah,
they expected big things.
yeah,
And he had his best year, and I don't know how many years since he been his best year was last year.
yeah. He
Put up
sat he
phenomenal
sat for a while before he
yeah,
got
and he
another
had
opportunity.
phenomenal numbers against the Lions last year. I got that game circled.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I mean,
want revenge.
that's gonna be a big turnaround game, regardless. But certainly it's gonna be a big game if we lose. Um, so yeah, they got Jackson. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba as well. I think he's gonna be hurt though. I think he's
Mm.
hurt right now.
Yeah, that's a good pickup, man.
Um,
Yeah, and they needed another wide receiver too.
yeah, they got Metcalf and
They needed one.
Lockett. Yeah.
Yeah, Metcalf he's gonna hold his side down, but if you had another one to compliment him,
Hmm.
Lockett if you could put Lockett in the slot, oh my
That's a lot.
gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that about does it for this week's show. For those that watched, we thank you. Check us out on Spotify. Um, hopefully you're subscribed to Motor City Metrics. Share, like, comment. Hit the like button for us, man. We're trying to get into the algorithm, man. We're trying to do some numbers here, man. And we can't do it without y'all. But we appreciate you being here and checking us out. We'll be here next Monday. The audio for this show drops tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. Uh, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iPods, Google Podcasts. I said Apple iPod, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just about every streaming platform we will be on. You can check this show out in case you missed it. And if you want to go, it'll be uploaded on Motor City Metrics shortly, if not right after. So StreamYard don't take long. It's usually the show is usually up after that. So you can check us out. Foster, you got any last words though before we get out of here?
Last words, man. The key is gonna be time of possession. Keeping the ball,
Mm,
keeping the ball. away from Patrick Mahomes and establishing that line of scrimmage. That's going to be a major factor in us trying to neutralize, the craziness of that first game back after the Super Bowl. So that's gonna decide the game in my eyes. But other than that, man, I'm excited Thursday.
Speaking of which, that line of scrimmage, I'm very comfortable with the Detroit Lions offensive line. They didn't play much in the preseason, but there was a reason for that. I mean, the Lions coaching staff saw no need for it. I guess they seeing what they need to see, and the Kansas City Chiefs defensive line is kind of lacking, and then offensive line for Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes has always had to run. He's always had to scramble and run around, and I think the defensive line for the Detroit Lions is a strength. So
Yeah.
I think we have a very good chance to control that line of scrimmage, and you can win a football game if you control the line of scrimmage. So I like our chances.
I'm excited, man.
Thursday, man, check us out. And then Thursday, right after the game, we're going to give a quick initial reaction before the Monday show. So me and Foster will be right back here Thursday, right after the game. Little quick 5-10 minute shows, say what we saw, but without getting in depth and spoiling it for the Monday show, because we're going to break down everything we saw. What you're going to see Thursday night and after the games usually is just a knee-jerk reaction, initial reaction of what we saw. But we'll be able to give it a couple days, and on Monday break it all the way down, and then talk about the upcoming game the following week. So we're excited. This football season is underway Thursday. It was a long winter, spring, and summer. Now we're here at football season. So we're out of here, Foster. Thank you again for being my co-host, man. I couldn't do this without you, bro.
My boy.